another Sunday, and you can probably see from the video that we've not got what is termed as being perfect conditions. Where am I? Well, I'm down near the seaside, I'm down in Kent, and I'm here at the Maidstone Aces national event, the National Best Pairs. Something a little bit different in the world of Grasstrack because it's pairs racing. Something we don't see too much of, or do we? Maybe some riders do help each other out. Well, that's going to be proved today because we've got a very, very big class. And as you probably gathered, yes, I'm standing here in the middle of practice. They're all getting set up, getting ready. And as I can see, we've got the 250s just going out. Some tremendous pairs and some really interesting competition. In every single class. And I always get that on these videos, don't I? Somebody overtakes me. Well, obviously they're trying to get everything organised. No need for me to go on too much. As I mentioned, it's something a bit different. We should see team racing. The format is 3 legs through to a final, and what some tremendous finals we've got in prospect. It's going to be a tough fight to get to those finals, but I honestly believe that whoever takes away the best pairs titles this year will be very worthy victors.
Now you can see what they look like with their helmets off. The local boy, Keith Potts, and Neil Scopes, Tommy Palmer, no Dave Mears was in. Then we've got 148, I'm not sure who that one is, it's a new one on there. Jason Stott and Graham Thomas, Steve Stewart and Richard Smith, Gary Wells and Terry Medler, Mitch Godden and Mark Giles, Robin Pilcher, Justin Shaw and Jason Jeanette, Andy Parker and Simon Gittings. There's Dave Steen, got to catch Tom up, but he mustn't do any fast starts. There's Steve Bishop. Then there's the Phipps boys, Julian and Adrian. Then Scott Swain. There's Paul Hurry, one of our others that should do well here today. John Pilcher, Terry Giles. Number 12, I can't remember who it is, Roy Leake. David Mears, compete with his son. Then we got Keith Strudwick, Dean Camia. Then Mark Seabright, Steve Carter and Jonathan Duke. Coming up there, Russell Miles, Adrian Mower, Jeremy Doncaster. And I'll hand over to Martin for the sidecars.
Well, throw me in the deep end, Don, while I'm thinking about it. Number 78, of course, Lionel Cox and Grace Hagan. And number 5, Dave Collin with Keith Goodley. And then number 7, Mr. Deed and Mr. Oldroyd. And number 10, Tony Cook with Ronnie Stewart. Good to see Ronnie Stewart back on a motorcycle again. And number 9, Mark Stupperfield, Nick Harbour. And number 57, Mike Reed and Mark Thorpe. And number 17, Paul Miller with Bob Reed. From the Southern Centre, down there, Wimborne. Eastbourne and Kevin Lead and Dick Oldroyd. Some of them seem to have come round in order, some don't, but here we have number 71, the British champion, Brian Palmer. Oh, that's a Goodwin. And his partner, Malcolm Goodwin. And Brian Palmer. A couple of solos, let them solos get out there. Graham, what's that on the back of his head? What does he think he's doing? He's a magistrate, isn't he? Graham Hilton and Bertie Goodwin. That took my eyes off the others. Many more and Bob Ager I saw go by there, and I think Duncan Fish and Clive Holland. And there goes Mr. Tyso, Steve and John, I believe it is. Steve and John Tyso. And 307, the Gear brothers, Robin and Barry Gear. And then young Billy Penfold. And that must have been Carly Bell with him, and then Tony Penfold and Julian Wood. Oh, and then one of them ran the other way around. Number 20, Lynn and Mr. Allen and Lynn Peck, trying to get the names out. And looked like Ren and Ray Foreman gone past it, and John Hiscock and Tony Bemisser, and Paul Johnson. Coming up by now. And then Neal Owen. I wish they'd come out in some kind of order. And Phil Pittman, Gary Lane going by there, one of the SGM crews. Another one there is Pete Dyer and Justin Westaway, and Terry Phillips and Chris Byers. And then another SGM with Joe Mogg and Joe Smith. Russell Egan, Paul Hurry with Roger Measer and Shane Lapham. Probably the favourites here this afternoon, and look, they started badgering already. Don't take them long, does it? And Gary Jackson, Kevin Williams. And Tim Bennett, Steve Hargreaves. Oh look, there's Rick Colvin, codenamed Dick Dastardly, and there's Muttley giving me a wave, and his good lady wife on the back there. Oh, and there goes the Fab One crew. Penny Hook and Keith Potts. Another pit stop and Precious this afternoon. And then Robbie Wilson Jr. and Colin Hill. And Colin Hutton, Tony Baseby. And Mick Cave and Mick Stays. Jerry Adams and Paul Baseby. Not coming out in family order, are they? And then Rob Wilson Sr. and Miles. It looks like John Halsey and Jason Glennie just coming up from the pit box. Last week's South Eastern Centre Championship winners. John Halsey and Jason Glennie. Well, enough to give a few people a headache today, I can tell you. John Halsey and Jason Glennie go by there on the bright yellow outfit, no mistake in that one. And they are partnering Dave Steer and Andy Orchard this afternoon. I think they'll give a few other riders a bit of a headache, those two then. Fun was 1980 in the Navenby Club, and the 500cc winner there was Jeremy Doncaster and Terry Birkhamshaw.
Race of the day, the 350 best pairs, sponsored by Watling Tyre Services.
Well, our thanks obviously to Watling Tyres for their support this afternoon, and it's good to see a few sponsors coming in and helping out here at the British Championship Best Pairs. And the first race is underway as they go down that first straight. Number 139 and 34 that go into the front, David Mears and Steve Bishop, but they're not a pair. Mark Seabright on the other to come around this turn now. It is Steve Bishop that's leading from Dave Mears, then 167 Mark Seabright in third place. That's good scoring for Mark Seabright and Steve Bishop this afternoon. David Mears is there. Steve Bishop certainly really means business this afternoon. He's absolutely flying for Dave Mears, then Mark Seabright, Keith Potts, then Neil Scopes. That flag from 139 David Mears, then 167 Mark Seabright, and then Keith Potts with his partner Neil Scopes. Bishop. Dave Mears comes home in second place, then Mark Seabright, then the pairing of Keith Potts and Neil Scopes.
By Watling Tyre Services, a win there for number 34, Steve Bishop. In second place, 139, David Mears. In third place, 167, Mark Seabright. Fourth, 175, Keith Potts. Fifth, 15, Neil Scopes. Sixth, number 10, Tony Atkin. Seventh, 172, Colin Earl. Eighth, 148, Graham Lowe. 9th, 38, Dave Wright, and 10th, number 37, Alan Bagshaw. Winner's time, 1 minute 23.87 seconds, giving a speed of 53.04 miles per hour. Motorcycles.
And indeed, race 2. Just look at that first couple of numbers there. 158 for Wayne Broadhurst and 170 Mark Taylor. They are the defending champions this afternoon, and they go in this one with Mark Giles and Mitchell Godden pairing, then John Underwood, Stephen Dorr, Paul Watson and Brian Cornelius, Jonathan Duke and Steve Carter. And a bit of a staggered start, that one. Wayne Broadhurst obviously keen to hold on to the title. The heat into the finals. The points are not carried from heats to finals. Away we go, we're underway again. Look for Wayne Broadhurst and Mark Taylor. Where are they? Mitchell Godden goes into the lead. Mitchell Godden, the son of the famous 1969 European long track champion. Holding on to third at the moment, then Jonathan Duke in fourth. So Mitchell Godden is really going for it. Stephen Dorr's taking the inside line on him. Can he get him? Mitchell Godden absolutely flat out round there. Stephen Dorr now taking up the running with Wayne Broadhurst up to second. Mitchell Godden fighting back to second place. National competitor. 110, Stephen Dorr leading from Wayne Broadhurst, then Mitchell Godden, Jonathan Duke, Steve Carter, Mark Taylor. Well, Mark Taylor there is a... Stephen Dorr throwing off the tear-off visor. Wayne Broadhurst holding on to second. Mitchell Godden in third, then Jonathan Duke. From Wayne Broadhurst in second, then Mitchell Godden, then Jonathan Duke, Mark Taylor, Steve Carter, Mark Giles, John Underwood, Brian Cornelius and Paul Watson.
Motorcycles, a win there for number 110, Steve Dorr. In second place, 158, Wayne Broadhurst. In third, number 9, Mitchell Godden. Fourth, 25, Jonathan Duke. Fifth, 170, Mark Taylor. 6th, 751, Steve Carter. 7th, 26, Mark Giles. 8th, 77, John Underwood. 9th, 48, Brian Cornelius. And 10th, 331, Paul Watson. Winner's time, 1 minute 25.54 seconds, giving a speed of 52 miles per hour exactly. Again, 110, 158, 9, 25, 170, 751, 26, 77, 48, 331. Winner's time 1 minute 25.54 seconds, giving a speed of 52 miles per hour. Over to Martin for the left-hand sidecars, once again sponsored by Cherrington Motorcycles.
And they're on the line and understarters orders, away they go already. This is the first time left-handers have been included in the Best Pairs Championship, and I'm sure they'll put on a great display here this afternoon. Luke Pashew and Julian Browning taken to the front there with the Cuff boys, Martin on the sidecar, and Neil driving coming up. So Luke Pashew, Julian Browning, unfortunately blew up last weekend in the South Eastern Centre Championships, but they've really got it singing this afternoon. In fact, it's a Godden Beach win they have in this afternoon. They've actually done away with their 960 NRE and gone for Godden Power. John from Neal and Martin Cuff in second, then Lenny Borer and Bob Ager, then Duncan Fish and Clive Holland, Graham Hilton and Bertie Goodwin, and Steve Scott. Way out wide they go as Neil Cuff tucks up on the inside. They've seen the last lap flag. 808, Luke Pashew and Julian Browning from Neal and Martin Cuff. Around the turn they come, the checkered flag goes for Luke Pashew and Julian Browning, christening their Godden with a win. There for number 808, Luke Pashew and Julian Browning. From 126, Neal and Martin Cuff. Third was 129, Lenny Borer and Bob Ager. Fourth, 174, Duncan Fish and Clive Holland. Fifth, number 1, John Tyso and Steve Tyso. 6, 151, Graham Hilton and Colin Goodwin.
Winner's time 1 minute 40.24 seconds, giving a speed of 44.37 miles per hour. Again, 808, 126, 129, 174, 1 and 151. Winner's time 1 minute 40.24 seconds, giving a speed of 44.37 miles per hour. Over to Martin for race 4, sponsored by CP Studios of West Street, Sittingbourne.
Yes, race 4, and it looks like it's Kent versus, well, part of Wales and part of Sussex. So, let's see how they get on here. Neal Owen, number 4, the Welsh Wizard as we know him. He's got Godden power for the first time this week, and let's see how it matches these others. He's absolutely flown off that start with a 500cc Godden solo engine. There's a Godden V-Twin 1000 in hot pursuit in second place, and then John Arnott's NRE, and then the X-Up, Yamaha. Blobby, who's in second place at the moment, so they're scoring good points. Neal Owen and Andy Evans, I believe it is. Let's just check that. But they blew their 560 car, what a smithereens. I had a word with Neal in the pits earlier on today, and he said he's going to gear it high and try to stop it from revving. The solo boys like them to rev, but the sidecar boys like them to drive. And look at him driving down that road. Round the corner he comes in, really giving it the big one and making that motor sing. Taking the last lap flag from Billy Penfold, Carly Bell on the 1000 Godden, and his brother trying to get round the outside there. Partner, Tony Penfold and Julian Wood, and Tony Penfold, Julian Wood take that one. We're in the last turn, for the last time, and here comes the checkered flag. The Welsh Wizard does it again. Neal Owen and Andy Evans. From Tony Penfold, Julian Wood, Billy Penfold, Carly Bell, and then John Arnott. And I'm not sure who's with John this afternoon. Tony Doyle. Well, no Billy Penfold, no Ernie Penfold, and no Tommy Penfold in that one.
Race 4, which was the left-hand sidecar, sponsored by CP Studios of Sittingbourne. A win there for number 4, Neal Owen and Andrew Evans. In second place, 25, which was Tony Penfold and Julian Wood. In third, 23, Billy Penfold and Carly Bell. And in fourth, 251, John Arnott and Tony Doyle. No other finishers. Winner's time 1 minute 41.58 seconds, giving a speed of 43.79 miles per hour. 4, 25, 23, 251. Winner's time 1 minute 41.58 seconds, speed 43.79 miles per hour. Over to Martin for the first leg of the 250s.
And indeed the 250cc solos are well underway. The start of the campaign, that was so close up past this corner, but Steve Syrick was leading. Jason Stott's gone right around the outside. Dean Camia's taken a good inside swoop round on the circuit. Working on the motor, got a little bit wide. Graham Thomas looking for a gap on the inside, and then Jason Stott. And of course Jason Stott and Graham Thomas are riding as a pair this afternoon. Knows a thing or two about Grasstrack. Graham Thomas, Dean Camia, Jason Stott, Adrian Squirrel. Ahead of Dean the Biz Camia from Jason Stott. I don't know, Jason Stott probably knows that if he can hang on to that third place, that'll be very good points for that player. And there goes the second flag that the corner being Graham Thomas, Dean Camia, Jason Stott, Adrian Squirrel. Richard Smith, Richard Strudwick, Steve Syred overheating a bit there, blowing out a bit of water. George Cook and Arthur Livings. Yeah, where have I seen that face before? I've seen that face in that programme this afternoon. That's the clerk of the course, that is.
Solos, a win there for 314, Graham Thomas. In second place, 44, Dean Camia. Third, 94, Jason Stott. Fourth, 32, Adrian Squirrel. Fifth, 33, Richard Smith. Sixth, 124, Keith Strudwick. Seventh, 62, Steve Surrett. Eighth, 18, George Cook. And ninth, number 71, Arthur Livings. No 10th finisher. Winner's time 1 minute 29.15 seconds, giving a speed of 49.89 miles per hour. Peter Martin for race 6, sponsored by Charrington Motorcycles.
And right on cue, off the line they go, down the first straight. Who's it going to be this time? Number 300, Terry Giles, hits the first turn first. Looking then for 49, John Pilcher, his partner, who is in fourth at the moment. Come round the turn, it's Wokey Giles leading from Lee Street indeed. And Terry Howe, John Pilcher, Ian Lee Amis, Richie Knight. And then unfortunately I'm done for that little Kawasaki to make that run this weekend. No pistons available, only pistons available in the Terrier. We've really had some spotting to do to that thing, but it's good to see her out there. 300 then, Terry Giles leading. Terry Hill standing still into that corner there, trying to catch up with his partner. Terry Giles taking Lee Street right here wide, but Lee Street's got the advantage now. So it's Lee Street leading, then Terry Giles, then Terry Howe. And then John Pilcher. Jane McLaren taking her last lap flag. Sue Dowling looking like she could get lapped as they come up to the finish, and indeed she does. Lee Street just about takes her. Not very gentlemanly at all, I wouldn't have thought. Oh, a very good finish there. All close, fighting to the finish in the 250cc class. And completing race distance 2:22. Jane McLaren.
Again sponsored by Charrington Motorcycles. A great win there for number 75, Lee Street. In second place was 23, Colin Howe. In third, 300, Terry Giles. Fourth, 49, John Pilcher. Fifth, 183, Ian Lee Amis. Sixth, 19, Terry Medler. Seventh, number 70, Gary Wells. Eighth, 229, Richie Knight. Ninth, 222, Jane McLaren. And 10th, 283, Sue Dowling. No 11th or 12th. Winner's time 1 minute 33.94 seconds, giving a speed of 47.35 miles per hour. Again quickly, 75, 23, 300, 49, 183, 19, 70, 229, over to Martin at 500 sidecars.
And the Continental chairs come out. Not very often we see the Continentals down here in the southeast, but they're always dynamite when they're here. Look at Raz Palmer going around that first turn. Look at the Kevin Lead coming up there in third. But who was that? Who's not down there? Very, very fast indeed, whoever it is. And indeed it's number 17, Paul Miller. 17, Paul Miller with Bob Reed in the chair. Only got 4 outfits remaining. Number 17 leading then, for 30, Malcolm Goodwin and Harry Dent. Then number 10, Tony Cook and Ronnie Stewart. So 17, Paul Miller and Bob Reed leading this one from Malcolm Goodwin and Harry Dent. Tony Cook has got it. Anybody seen Raz Palmer? 17 then, still leading the field. Paul Miller and Bob Reed taking their checkered flag from Malcolm Goodwin and Harry Dent. Then number 10, Tony Cook and Ronnie Stewart.
Sidecars first leg, sponsored again by Cherrington Motorcycles. A great win there for number 17, Paul Miller and Bob Reed. In second place, number 30, Mal Goodwin and Harry Dent. In third place, number 10, Tony Cook and Ronnie Stewart. And in fourth place, number 49, Brian Canning and Colin Lewis. No other finishers. Winner's time 1 minute 33.08 seconds, giving a speed of 47.79 miles per hour. 17, 30, 10, 49. Winner's time 1 minute 33.08 seconds, giving a speed of 47.79 miles per hour. Over to Martin for the race 8, sponsored by Peters and Pearls Photos.
There's race 8 going to the line then. But anybody know there's a bar here today? There is a beer tent over on the far side of the circuit up there by the wood, on the exit of the first turn as these boys come round. So it's numbers 5 and 20 that go into the lead. Dave Collin and then Alan Pegg. Not as a pairing. Very low looking outfits, very small looking as they come towards you. Number 5 then, Dave Collin leading with Keith Goodley in the chair. Oh, look at that battle coming up there for second place. Round they come then. It's number 20, Alan and Lynn Peck, husband and wife team. From number 14, then Rob Williams and Edward Davis. In second place, their partners, Rob Williams and Edward Davis. So they're really scoring high here this afternoon. Then it's number 5, Dave Collin and Keith Goodley. As they come round there then, it's number 20, Alan and Lynn Peck from their partners, Rob Williams and Edward Davis. Very good scoring from them. Then number 5, Dave Collin with number 57. Mike Reed, not a pairing. Then number 9, Mark Stubberfield, and then number 78, Lionel Cox and Grace Hagan.
Sidecars, sponsored by Peters and Pearls Photos. A great win there for number 20, Alan and Lynn Peck. In second place, number 14, Rob Williams and Edward Davis. In third place, number 5, Dave Collin and Keith Goodley. In fourth place, 57, which was Mike Reed and Mark Thorpe. In fifth place, number 9, Mark Stubberfield and Nick Harbour. And in sixth place, number 78, Lionel Cox and Grace Hagan. And the winner's time was 1 minute 37.45 seconds, giving a speed of 45.64 miles per hour. Hope you got that, because it's over to Martin for the first of the 500s. Solos.
The 500 solos, this is the big one, chaps. Off they go off that start and down towards the first turn. Paul Hurry from the outside, Colin Earl on the inside, and Jeremy Doncaster really throwing his machine in there as well. Those three coming well clear out of the first turn. Trying to go around the outside, he's got the motor on full bore, but it's Colin Earl. From Paul Hurry and Jeremy Doncaster. Paul Hurry and Jeremy Doncaster are of course partners, so they'll be happy to be together. But it's still Colin Earl from Paul Hurry, Jeremy Doncaster, Tony Atkin, he's the partner of the man in first place. So a lot of points. There's not a lot of I've lost there. It's Paul Hurry, Colin Earl, Jeremy Doncaster, Tony Atkin, then Chris Tritton and James Fortheray riding in the Paul Hurry from Colin Earl, then Jeremy Doncaster, then Tony Atkin. So the first four sharing all those top points in pairings. Then the pairing of Chris Tritton and James Fortheray, then Graham Brown and Graham Lowe. Followed home by Alan Bagshaw and Russell Miles.
Three solos, sponsored by Ray Palmer of Maidstone Motorliner Centre. A great win there for number 86, Paul Hurry. In second place, 172, Colin Earl. In third place, 66, Jeremy Doncaster. In fourth, number 10, Tony Atkin. In fifth place, number 3, Chris Tritton. In sixth place, 169, James Fortheray. In seventh, 122, Graham Brown. Eighth, 148, Graham Lowe. Ninth, 37, Alan Bagshaw. And in 10th, number 5, Russell Miles. Winner's time, 1 minute 21.28 seconds, giving a speed of 54.73 miles per hour. Again, 86, 172, 66, 10, 3, 169, 122, 148, 37 and 5. Winner's time 1 minute 21.28 seconds, speed 54.73 miles per hour. Over to Marty for race 10, once again sponsored by Cherrington Motorcycles.
And indeed, race 10 looking for Robbie Fuller and Steve Dorr from the east. Tommy Palmer and David Steen, one from Kenton, one from Bristol area. Then we've got Lee Lanham having a rare outing on grass, partnered with Ben Howe. Then the brothers, Julian and Adrian Phipps from here, Stelling Minnis, just up the road. Didn't have too far to come this morning. Look out for Mark Seabright and Steve Bishop. They're both on hot form in the 350s and are bound to go well in the 500s. And then number 971, Dean Norton and Robin Filcher, a local southeastern pair. There they go then, the tapes have gone, they're on their way towards the first corner, and who's it going to be this time? It's a good break, it's Ben Howe that's gone there with number 16, Robbie Fuller. Well, Robbie Fuller's gone a little bit wide on the first turn, but he seems to be holding on to it. Round they come then, it's 87 from the Ipswich Speedway man. Ben Howe from Stephen Dorr and Robbie Fuller riding as a pair there. Trying to shut the door on the other riders. Then it's Adrian go there. And the riders stopping, although, oh yeah, Harry's got the red flag. I didn't see a red flag, I'd only seen a yellow one. I hadn't seen a red one, but they've all decided to stop and go back and do it all again. So Dean Norton and Robin Pilcher. That's the lineup for race 10. The Commander Sar's orders. Away they go then. Julian Phipps makes the start this time, but Stephen Dorr's up front and Mark Seabright in hot pursuit. Ben Howe challenging on the inside. But it's Stephen Dorr from the Eastern Centre who goes out in front. And it's Stephen Dorr leading. Ben Howe going round her in second place, then Mark Seabright. There's number 16 in fourth place at the moment. The other half of this afternoon here in the National Best Pairs competition. Stephen Dorr, Ben Howe, Mark Seabright, Robbie Fuller. There goes the last lap flag. Ben Howe in second, Mark Seabright holding third, then number 16, Robbie Fuller. Then it's 111, David Steen. Tommy Palmer and his partner. Second place to Ben Howe, third to Mark Seabright, fourth Robbie Fuller, 5th David Steen, 6th Tommy Palmer, 7th Lee Lanham, 8th Julian Phipps, 9th Robin Pilcher. In 10th place, crossing the line now, Adrian Phipps.
Result of race 10, sponsored by Cherrington Motorcycles. A win there for number 110, Steve Dorr. In second place, 87, Ben Howell. Third, 167, Mark Seabright. Fourth, 16, Robbie Fuller. Fifth, 111, Dave Steen. Sixth, 21, Tommy Palmer. Seventh, number 11, Lee Lanham. Eighth, 73, Julian Phipps, the local lad. Ninth, 174, Robin Pilcher. 10th, 176, Adrian Phipps, the other local brother. And 11th, 971, Dean Norton. No 12th finisher. Winner's time, 1 minute 22.44 seconds, giving a speed of 53.96 miles per hour. Again, 87, 167, 16, all the ones. 21, 11, 73, 174, 176 and 971. Winner's time, 1 minute 22.44 seconds, speed 53.96 miles per hour. Over to Martin for race 11 of the 500 solos.
The third heat in this, the first leg, that'll bring the 500 cc's to a level pegging number of races, and we'll be able to see just who's doing what. On the line then, somebody's pushing their tapes there, but they're away this time. They come down the first straight. Who's it going to be? Scott Swain was leading, but it's 2-3-0. Andy Parker that takes up the run-in. Andy Parker going out there in front. And in second has decided to fire the long way round. He's gone very, very wide. It's Andy Parker that leads. Alan Harmer now again up to second. Then 179, Simon Gittings. Then Scott Swain and Mark Woods, Jason Jennett. Adrian Mower, look at Mitchell Godden going up to this place on the one. Certainly getting to grips with it, and himself is 350 riding no end as well. Andy Parker leads, and Alan Harmer coming right up on the inside to try and take that victory away from him. Andy Parker gets his finger out. Alan Harmer now taking up on the inside. Harmer leading, then those two in second and third are indeed a pair. Last place, there's the win for number 121, Alan Harmer from Andy Parker, Simon Gittings, Mark Woods, Mitchell Godden, Adrian Mower, Scott Swain, and Paul Coates. And Jason Jennett bringing up the rear.
Solos, a win there for number 121, Alan Harmer. In second place, 230, Andy Parker. Third, 179, Simon Gittings. Fourth, 24, Mark Woods. Fifth, number 9, Mitchell Godden. 6th, 187, Justin Shaw. 7th, 154, Adrian Mower. 8th, number 64, Scott Swain. 9th, number 7, Paul Coates. And 10th, 165, Jason Jennett. No other finishers. Winner's time, 1 minute 29.05 seconds, giving a speed of 49.95 miles per hour. Again, 121, 230, 179, 24, 9, 187, 154, 64, 7 and 165. Winner's time, 1 minute 29.05 seconds, speed 49.95. And over to Marty for the right-hand sidecar.
First right-hand sidecar race. It looks well for Rosseling and Roger Meese. They're right there. Roger Meese has made the start. Ira Matthews has gone after him in second place. Only a few weeks ago, Roger Meese was crowned the 1994 British Masters champion, and number 15, Ivor Matthews, was second to him. Now look what's happening with them. And Rosseling, Roger's partner, in there, in third place. Then McCabe McStace. Gary Jackson and Kevin Williams. Shane Baker bringing up the rear at the moment, but it's Roger Measer all the way. Roger Measer and Shane Lapham from Ivor Matthews. And I believe Peter Jones with him this afternoon, then Russell and Paul Hurry. It's Gary Jackson now coming up into fourth place ahead of Mick Cave and Mick Stace. Little bad start for him. It's a very big circuit, but they can't get round there quick. Roger Measer and Shane Lapham sending me in the pits earlier on. What a super circuit he thought it was, and how nice to get these big wide corners and the ripple-free run-in. Roger Measer and Shane Lapham leading then. Ivor Matthews and Peter Jones in second. Third place at the moment is Rustling Furious. So they're first and third. Checker flag goes for Roger Measer and Shane Lapham. Followed by Ivor Matthews and Peter Jones. Oh, that was very close on the line. I'm going to leave that one for the lap scorers between Rustling and Gary Jackson. Then Mick Cave, Mick Stace, and then Shane Baker, Clinton Martin bringing up the rear. These races seem to go by so quick.
In there for number 51, Roger Measer and Shane Lapham. In second place, 15, Ivor Matthews, Peter Jones. Third place, 23, Gary Jackson and Kevin Williams. Fourth place, number 6, Russell Ling and Paul Uritz. Fifth, Mick Cave. Fifth, number 5, Mick Cave and Mick Stace. And in sixth place, number 39, Shane Baker and Clinton Martin. Winner's time, 1 minute 19.21 seconds, giving a speed of 56.16 miles per hour.
Right, Mr. Bagshaw and Mr. Lowe, and then 331, Paul Watson, 48 Brian Cornelius on 7 points. Takes fly, the right hand is underway again, and in this one we've got Steve Smith and Alan Lewis as a pair. John Hiscock and then Ray Foreman as a pair. Round the first turn, it's John Halsey that makes it. He's the South Eastern Centre champion, newly crowned last week, but he's left the gap, and in goes Steve Smith and Keith Wall. So Steve Smith and Keith Wall take up the rein now on their Godden powered outfit. And John Halsey, Jason Stott coming hard at him again in second place, but he's got it all sewn up. Steve Smith in full flight. You can never keep the man down. John Halsey, Jason Glennie going a bit wide trying to catch him, and then it's John Hiscock and Dave Steer. Partners down at the other end of the field. Round they come then, Steve Smith and Keith Wall. From John Halsey, Jason Glennie, Dave Steer, Andy Orchard, John Hiscock, Tony Bemister, then and Ray Foreman, and then Alan and John Blewett. Obviously troubles for them to be at that end of the field. So the pairing split between first and sixth places, and the other pairs muddled up somewhere in between. Round they come then for the checkered flag, and it's number 2, Steve Smith and Keith Wall leading from number 13, John Halsey and Jason Glennie taking the second spot. First spot to Dave Steer and Andy Orchard, then John Hiscock, Tony Bemister, then and Ray Foreman, and Alan and John Blewett.
Sidecars, sponsored by Cherrington Motorcycles. I know I keep rubbing it in, but a win there for number 2, Steve Smith. I forgot who his passenger, Keith Wall. In second place, 13, John Halsey and Jason Glennie. Third place, number 17, Dave Steer and Andy Orchard. Fourth place, 184, John Hiscock and Tony Bemister. In fifth place, number 149, Len and Ray Foreman. And in sixth place, number 3, the Blewitts. Winner's time, 1 minute 21.99 seconds, giving a speed of 54.25 miles per hour.
I believe they're riding number 1 this afternoon. So there's Paul Johnson and Tim Bennett as a pair, Robbie Wilson Senior and Robbie Wilson Junior. How about that for family entertainment? Father and son joining each other in battle. And then Jerry Adams and Colin Hutton for the third team in this race. Looks like Paul Johnson's bringing his machine in. The line last at the moment. No big deal, they've all got the places marked in the programme where they have to go in the numbering brackets after their name. Away they go then. Tim Bennett's another fast start. He's gone up into the first turn first. That's Tim Bennett and Steve Hargreaves. Into the first turn into first place. The rest of the pack now closing in on him as he comes around that turn. Robbie Wilson Jr. coming up on the inside. Robbie Wilson Senior trying to go around the outside. So So it's Tim Bennett, followed by Wilsons and Wilsons, and all the Wilsons and Wilsons, one on the side of him. Look at the sandwich, and Tim Bennett fights back in the middle there, but he's lost there on the third place. Then the Wilson boys are going to get there, riding in the near, and they're first and second in this one. After Steve Smith winning the last one and his teammate rolling home last with problems, this is looking good for the Wilsons. Robbie Wilson Sr. with Tony Miles, Robbie Wilson Jr. Oh, and over goes, I think I was Colin Upton and Tony Baseby rolled on that turn there, the red flags are out. With Tony Miles, Robbie Wilson Jr. Oh, and over goes, I think I was Colin Upton and Tony Baseby rolled on that turn there, the red flags are out. Being stopped before the start of the third lap. That should mean we'll have a rerun, and let's hope that Colin Upton and Tony Baseby are all okay down there. Unfortunately, I can't see a lot of movement. With Tony Miles, Robbie Wilson Jr. Oh, and over goes, I think I was Colin Upton and Tony Baseby rolled on that turn there, the red flags are out. And the race being stopped before the start of the third lap. That should mean we'll have a rerun, and let's hope that Colin Upton and Tony Baseby are all okay down there. Unfortunately, I can't see a lot of movement. Door on 23 points. Meanwhile, into race 14, sponsored by Nobby and Jenny Clark. Race chairman and his wife. 10 minutes against the line in the lead. 24, Rob Wilson and Tony Miles in hot pursuit in second place. And number 25, Robbie Wilson Jr. and Colin Hill now up to third, with Jerry Adams and Paul Baseby in fourth, and Paul Johnson back there, fifth place. So Tim Bennett holds on to an advantage. Rob Wilson Sr. hard all the way, and Rob Wilson Jr. is in now in second place against 3 good points. Tim Bennett goes wide, and Rob Wilson Sr. comes right up alongside it, neck and neck almost as they go past the commentary box here, but it looks like Rob Wilson's taken up the advantage on the turn this time. Rob Wilson Sr. tucking in, trying to take Tim Bennett as well. Now following father's footsteps. But it's the bad moving. Tim Bennett with deep hard reads, then Rob Wilson Jr. and Colin Hill. Tim Bennett again goes wide, and Rob Wilson Jr. is in there, and he's coming up alongside. Can he do what his dad did the lap before? He's trying hard, he's really pushing in there, he's gone for the inside line, he's taken Tim Bennett up to second place behind his partner and father. So it's Rob Wilson Jr. Tim Bennett problems there for Tim Bennett as he scatters the marshals, tries to get the bike going again. Jerry Adams, Tony Baseby go by, Paul Johnson catching up there on the line. For the win, 2, Rob Wilson Sr. Second, Rob Wilson Jr. The best result in the sidecar pairs for a pair so far today.
One-hand sidecar sponsored by Nobby and Jenny Clark. A great win there for number 24, Rob Wilson and Tony Miles. In second place was number 25, Robbie Wilson Jr. and Colin Hill. In third place, number 55, Jerry Adams and Paul Baseby. In fourth place, number 1, which today was Tim Bennett and Steve Hargraves. And in fifth place, number 12, Paul Johnson and Carl Jasper. No sixth finisher. Winner's time 1 minute 22.40 seconds, giving a speed of 53.98 miles per hour.
Steps riding together, and then Penny Hook and Rick Colvin. Penny Hook is going to be for the afternoon for another pit stop. We've got Precious on the sidecar, and then we've got Dick Dastardly driving 112 with Lumpy in the gear. Away they go then. Who's it going to be? Flat out up the first straight they go. Looks like Phil Pittman, but the eyes are a little bit, Fab 1 crew seem to be a little bit behind at the moment. Number 90 it is then, Phil Pittman and Gary Lane leading, from Joe Mogg and Joe Smith with Terry Phillips and Chris Spires, then Dick Dastardly and Muttley in there with Pete Dyer and Justin Westaway, and then Penelope pit stop and Precious bringing up the rear. Up they come then, round that next turn. Number 90 it is. Phil Pittman and Gary Lane from the western area, southwestern I should say, with Joe Mogg in hot pursuit. Then Rick Colvin and Steve Smith, but they've got a little bit wide. Let Terry Phillips on the inside. Rick Colvin fights back and holds on to his third place at the moment. Lady Penelope, or Penelope pit stop down the back of the field there. I'm not sure how many of that thing misfiring. Phil Pittman, Gary Lane leading. Rick Colvin now trying to come up for second. Really putting Joe Mogg under pressure. Terry Phillips trying hard behind. Rick Colvin and Steve Smith, alias Dick Dastardly and Muttley pushing hard there in third place. The checkered flag goes, it's Phil Pittman and Gary Lane. From Joe Mogg and Joe Smith, Dick Dastardly and Muttley, Terry Phillips, Chris Spires, Pete Dyer, Justin Westaway and Penny Hook, and Keith Watts bringing up the rear.
Sponsored by Dave Day. A good win there for number 90, Phil Pittman, and always forget his passenger, Miles Simmons. In second place, 98, which is Joe Mogg and Jojo Smith. In third place, 112, Rick Colvin and Steve Smith. In fourth place, 52, which is Terry Phillips and Chris Spires. Fifth, 58, Pete Dyer and Justin Westaway. And in sixth place, number 34, Penny Hook and, I was going to say Precious, but it's not, Keith Watts. Winner's time 1 minute 24.70 seconds, giving a speed of 52.52 miles per hour. The 98, 112, 52, 58, 34, over to Martin.
Away they go then. The 350cc solos. Dave Mears leading into the first turn. Keith Potts in hot pursuit in second. Two of the local South East and Centre lads that ride together every week. They're not riding as a pair this afternoon, so they won't be giving away anything at all. 175, Keith Potts, 139, David Mears, 110, Stephen Dorr and 15, Neal Scopes. Look at Steve Dorr going right around the outside. He's off the right through the front. That turn, he's got a good mid position and he's away. It's 110, Stephen Dorr from 139, Dave Mears, then 15, Neal Scopes. Stephen Dorr from Neal Scopes, two Eastern Centre riders, then Dave Mears and Keith Potts side by side, then and John Underwood and Mitchell Godden, Dave Wright, Mark Child, Paul Watson. Take the checkered flag for 15, Neal Scopes, then Dave Mears and Keith Potts, John Underwood, Mitchell Godden, Dave Wright, Mark Giles, Paul Watson and Brian Cornelius. So the 350 competition.
There for 110, Steve Dorr. In second place, 15, Neal Scopes. Third place, 139, David Mears. Fourth, 175, Keith Potts. Fifth, 77, John Underwood. Sixth, number 9, Mitchell Godden. Seventh, 38, Dave Wright. Eighth, 26, Mark Giles. Ninth, 331, Paul Watson. And 10th, 48, Brian Cornelius. Winner's time 1 minute 26.40 seconds, giving a speed of 51.48 miles per hour. 110, 15, 139, 175, 77, 9, 38, 26, 331 and 48. Over to Martin.
Race 17, they're under starters orders and away, and you've got the leading pair in this one, 167, Mark Seabright and Steve Bishop, and the second place pairing of Wayne Broadhurst and Mark Taylor. And it's Wayne Broadhurst that's gone to the front. Wayne Broadhurst pulling the yards ahead there, trying to... Steve Bishop, Mark Seabright coming right through from fourth to third to second. Can he keep that up? But it's 158, Wayne Broadhurst from number 10, Tony Atkin. 167, Mark Seabright. 170, Mark Taylor. Holding on the points. Number 10 there, Tony Atkin gets scoring good points. 167, Mark Seabright, and 172, Colin Earl, Mark Taylor, Jonathan Duke, Steve Carter. To take take the last lap flag. Wayne Broadhurst looking back to see where his partner is. Tony Atkins in second, and Mark Seabright in third. Then Colin Earl, Mark Taylor, Jonathan Duke, Steve Carter. Goes out. It's a win for Wayne Broadhurst from Tony Atkin, Mark Seabright, Colin Earl, Mark Taylor, Jonathan Duke, Steve Carter, Alan Bagshaw. Sorry, Graham Lowe, then Alan Bagshaw. Oh, I can see Steve Bishop there, and that's certainly cost the pair a few points.
To win there for number 158, Wayne Broadhurst. In second place, number 10, Tony Atkin. Third, 167. Mark Seabright. Fourth, 172, Colin Earl. Fifth, 170, Mark Taylor. Seventh, 751, Steve Carter. Eighth, 148, Graham Lowe. And ninth, number 37, Alan Bagshaw. No 10th finisher. Winner's time 1 minute 28.70 seconds, giving a speed of 50.15 miles per hour. 158, 10, 167, 172, 170, 25, 751, 148 and 37. Winner's time 1 minute 28.70 seconds, speed 50.15 miles per hour. Over to Martin for leg 2 of the left-hand sidecars.
Leg 2 then, race 18, as we said, the left-hand shares, and the Billy Penfold, Ernie Penfold pairing not coming out in this one, therefore it will be a 4-horse race between Neil Cuff and Martin Cuff, John and Steve Tyso, Graham Hilton, Bertie Goodwin, Lenny Bora, Bob Ager, and away they go. And it's very tight into that first turn, and Lenny Bora certainly wanted to make the most of it, but it's the Cuff boys that have taken the inside line and left the others to battle it out as they pull clear of the field. Lenny Bora's got trouble. Lenny Bora put his hand up there, and I'm not sure if he has got trouble or he hasn't. He did put his hand up as if he was in bother, but he's certainly sorted himself out. It's 1-2-6, Neil and Martin Cuff from Lenny Bora and Bob Ager. Then John and Steve Tyso, and then Graham Hilton, Bertie Goodwin. Pairings, so they're first and third at the moment, so they're piling on the points. Fourth place overall in the points after the first leg. Neil and Martin Cuff from Lenny Bora, Bob Ager. John and Steve Tyso, Graham Hilton, Bertie. So first and third, second and fourth, that's the way the pairings are. They're split up at the moment. 1-2-6, Neil and Martin Cuff take the last lap flag from Lenny Bora, Bob Ager. Then John and Steve Tyso, Graham Hilton and Bertie Goodwin. Bob Ager coming hard on that top turn there. Noble's over the inside line. Lenny wants to come up the inside, he's going to have his work cut out. They cross the line, it's Neil and Martin Cuff from Lenny Bora, Bob Ager. Then John and Steve Tyso, and Graham Hilton and Bertie Goodwin bringing up the rear.
A win there for 1-2-6, Neil and Martin Cuff, our new South Eastern Centre champions. In second place, 1-2-9, Lenny Bora and Bob Ager. Third place, number 1, John and Steve Tyso. And in fourth, 151, that's Graham Hilton and Colin Goodwin. No other finishers. Winner's time 1 minute 44.31 seconds, giving a speed of 42.64 miles per hour.
An indication as to who the 1994 best pairs left-hand sidecar champions will be in this race. They go then, and unfortunately Tony Penfold and Julian would have been left on the line, so that messes it up for that team. Meanwhile, Luke Patchell and Julian Browning, this year's British champions. Oh, there goes Tony Penfold and Julian Wood after the point. 808, Luke Patchell and Julian Browning. At the front, from the Welsh Wizard, with the Godden engine, Neal Owen and Andy Evans. And Neal Owen really going after him. Look at him catching up on an engine only half the size. 808, Luke Patchell and Julian Browning, from Neal Owen and Andy Evans. Then Billy Penfold, Carly Bell, Duncan Fish and Clive Holland, John Arnott and Tony Doyle. We'll see the last lap flag in front of them. Problems for the Welshman on the middle Godden. Desperate bad luck for him. Luke Patchell and Julian Browning then carried on for the win. Billy Penfold, Carly Bell up there in second. Then Duncan Fish and Clive Holland in third. Then Tony Penfold and Julian Wood coming up from the back half. Bad luck for the Welshman. What can the problem be? Checkered flag goes then for number 808, Luke Patchell and Julian Browning. From Billy Penfold, Carly Bell in second, hotly followed by his brother and today's partner, 25, Tony Penfold and Julian Wood. Neal Owen, push your bike over the line and get that other point, mate. Line to pick up that other qualifying point.
The left-hand sidecars, a win there for number 808, Luke Patchell and Julian Browning, our British champions. In second place, 23, Billy Penfold and Carly Bell. In third place, 25, Tony Penfold and Julian Wood. In fourth place, 174, which today is Duncan Fish and Clive Holland. In fifth place, 251, John Arnott and Tony Doyle. And in sixth, after pushing over the line, number 4, Neal Owen and Andrew Andrew Evans. Winner's time 1 minute 40.89 seconds, giving a speed of 44.09 miles per hour. Over to Martin for the 250s.
250s then, and don't forget the leading pair into the first leg with Jason Stott and Graham Thomas. Jason Stott away on the inside there, Graham Thomas on the outside, but it's quite few it was, to be honest, that led into that first turn. Graham Thomas has gone right round the outside. You can see why he used to be British champion. Richard Smith was this year's runner-up to Mark Wadsworth, and he's in hot pursuit there in second place. Jason Stott, partner. Back, so he won't give an inch. Round the turn they come then. Graham Thomas has gone very wide. Richard Smith trying on the inside to catch him, and Jason Stott in third. Then Lee Street, Steve Syret, Gary Wells, Ian Ames. Bristol this afternoon. A long drive over, I can tell you. The last lap flag goes for Graham Thomas from Richard Smith, Jason Stott and Lee Street. Sue Downing starts to be lapped by these faster boys. Here comes the checkered flag. Steve Smith takes the win from Graham Thomas, who shakes his head in disbelief. But I think the points tally is probably fairly safe up there with him and his partner in second and third places. But got to take your hat off to Richard Smith for a ride like that.
Win there for number 33, Richard Smith. In second place, 314, Graham Thomas. Third, 94, Jason Stott. Fourth, 75, Lee Street. Fifth, 62, Steve Syret. Sixth, number 70, Gary Wells. Seventh, 183, Ian Ames. Eighth, 19, Terry Medler. Ninth, all the twos, Jane McLaren. And 10th, number 283, Sue Dowling. Winner's time 1 minute 31.94 seconds, giving a speed of 48.38 miles per hour. 94, 75, 62, 70, 183, 19, all the twos, 283. Winner's time 1 minute 31.94 seconds, speed 48. Over to Martin.
Race 21 is underway, and down the first straight it goes. Keith Strudwick that leads from Colin Howe in second place. Now he needs to defend the back wheel. Oh no, he defended it a bit too well and took a shunt from the backside himself. Colin Howe going for the inside line with Keith Strudwick that leads. Keith Strudwick's gone wide and let Adrian Squirrel through, and he's gone up to the lead. That's straight out in front. As they go round, hasn't he? Business these 250 boys this afternoon. Adrian Squirrel's gone wide. Colin Howe's gone for the inside and takes up a momentary lead again. Then Keith Strudwick, then Dean Camia, then John Pelcher, Richie Knight, Terry Giles, Arthur Living. Adrian Squirrel off on the inside, but Colin Howe holds on as they take the last lap flag. Just one lap in this epic battle. Adrian Squirrel's gone very wide up the top there. Keith Strudwick's trying to come up on the inside. Colin Howe's at lead. Colin Howe's comes to the left turn. He needs to win this one. Keith Strudwick takes second. Was he first as he got to the line there? That was very close indeed, and I must leave that decision to the lap scorers. But an epic battle right through to the finish there. I don't know how much you've always paid to come into this meeting this afternoon, but that race was worth the money. And there's another, I don't know how many, 25, 26 races to come yet.
Result of race 21. A win there for number 23, Colin Howe. In second place, 124, Keith Strudwick. Third, 32, Adrian Squirrel. Fourth, 44, Dean Camia. Fifth, 49, John Pilcher. Sixth, 229, Richie Knight. Seventh, 300, Terry Giles. Eighth, 71, Arthur Livings. Ninth, 18, George Cook. And 10th, number 12, Roy Leake. No other finishers. Winner's time 1 minute 32.98 seconds, giving a speed of 47.84 miles per hour. 2.98 seconds, speed 47.84 seconds.